Mixing up the location, I'm at my house. There's my kids right behind me. You're probably going to hear some of them yelling. You guys know how it is. But I'm always going to say this, I think we had a good time with high school students because high school students showed up and high school students talked about our topic. Our topic this last Sunday in the afternoon was about all that encompasses the LGBT-Q community, the climate in America today, same-sex marriage, transgender things. Just that discussion. Like I said, I think we had a good time because they were willing to talk about it and bring their experiences to the table. The first thing we started off talking about was definitely just because someone doesn't agree with somebody else doesn't mean that they hate somebody, and it doesn't mean that they have a phobia. Those two things, I mean, we can disagree and still like each other. I have many friends that I don't agree with on many things. In the past, it's been my love for LeBron James and their love for Michael Jordan. We still like each other, but we disagree on that one aspect. And I think that plays a part in this situation as well. Another thing we talked about was feelings and facts. For a long time in America, it seems everyone's gone to their feelings, almost so much whereas if I say that I feel like or my experience is, whatever I say after that, you can't argue with because it's my feelings and my experience, and those things can't be argued with. Now it seems that many people are going towards the facts and saying things like my facts don't care about your feelings, which has been made famous by a certain personality. So, I mean, then it goes to the other side where it's all it is facts and nobody has any feelings. But I think we've gone too far on that one too, where we just talk about facts and don't talk about feelings. I think both of those things come into play. So we had a good conversation starting off with that, and then we got into, okay, here's the situations, same-sex marriage, who can marry who? Is all it takes is to love somebody and then we're good to go. We can marry each other. We brought up various examples, not only a man and a man, a woman and a woman, but maybe a woman and two men, a man and three women. I even put up a funny picture, and it seems silly, but you never know where these things go. You hear about, I forget what that movie was that had Joaquin Phoenix in it, but I think he had a love interest that was this computer. Also on the latest Solo movie, I'm 45 minutes left in the movie. I got to watch it. Like Lando, somebody. He had a droid that he could have been in love with. She thought he was in love with him. Either way, so what constitutes marriage in America as it's being redefined? Can you marry whoever you want to marry as long as you love them? So we had the discussion about that, and we got a lot of opinions from people. And I think that most of the students would say, hey, I'm not into it, but if somebody else wants to do it, how can I tell them that they can't do it? Who is it hurting? Different things like that. I'm sure you're able to dive into those topics a little bit. Then I thought it was a funny thing. I told the kids that there's a family at St. Pat's of three men that actually live together. They actually live right down the street from the church. Three men, and we've actually allowed them to hold a pretty high office in the church. They're big influencers. They all dress the same too. They dress in black and white. They have a white thing right here, but they all live together. They're not married, obviously, to each other. I guess they're married to the church. So maybe in a way that they are. I don't know. It gets pretty deep. But they all live together. So the problem isn't really who can live together, who can love each other. That really isn't the problem. Or what can you do? The problem is it right to do these different things? Moved on to the transgender situation, which is making itself more and more real in our society. It's a touchy subject, and we talked about some of the different ways that people feel. I think people really do have these feelings inside. And I brought up an example for these students. One thing I love to bring up, and I heard it from one of my buddies one time. Okay, so you've got somebody who is in the body of a woman, but they feel like they're a man. As an American, it seems like I have no recourse other than to affirm that position. That they are in a body that doesn't fit their personality or their feelings or their experiences. So I brought up an example that sometimes we deal with as youth ministers or as parents or as students. I brought up the example of a girl who is 90 pounds but says that she's 300 pounds. Going along the same logic from the previous example, I would have to affirm that girl and say, well, I know that you say that you're 300 pounds and you only look like you're 90 pounds, but I'm going to have to affirm you and say you probably do eat too much. I think if anyone heard me say that to that girl, that she eats too much, probably should exercise more and get on a diet. She's 90 pounds but says she's 300 pounds, even though she's not 300 pounds. They would think that I was a jerk and they wouldn't go along with that. So in that situation, I must disaffirm the girl, but in the previous situation, I must affirm. So there being a double standard there, and something that we do have to, especially when it comes to the situations that are going on between our heads, what we're thinking. These are the feelings that I have. Do they correspond with reality, or are they completely different with reality? And where do they line up? So had that conversation. I think that one was an easier one to grasp for students compared to the previous one, especially when it comes to, who does it hurt? So, okay, so I do these things. So what? Does it matter? And I think what matters, because we all live in this world together. We all live in America together, and the things that we do, even though we think that we do them by ourselves, they do affect other people. It's not just me and my situation, but everything that I do, the things I do at work affect the population at St. Patrick's. I can't just I act like I do sometimes, or try to, but I can't just do whatever I want to do. I have to abide by certain rules, because the things that I do, whether I think they do or not, even the words that I say, even the words I say right now could hurt somebody. So I have to be very cautious about the things that I say and the things that I do, and that goes for everybody. We can't just act however we want to because we feel that way. So hope our students had a great time. And we're looking for some more good times over the summer. We're looking to break into a lot of these different topics, like I said previously, issues that drag our kids away from the church, and situations and things that we can get involved in that lead our kids to the church. So looking forward to more conversations this summer. After the 8:15 Mass, we'll have breakfast. We'll have good conversation, videos, and obviously Mass before that. So those are all good things. Have a great night.